Hello, hello. Testing, testing, testing. All right, today is Monday, May 7th. Today is Automation Talk on the YouTube channel. Just want to check to see if my levels are correct. Let's see. All right, we're ready. We're ready. We're rocking. All right, like I said before, today is Monday, May 7th. Today is all about automation. With automation, we're talking about virtual reality, falls into somewhat to automation also, and AI, automated intelligence, also falls into automation. Tonight on the agenda, we will be talking about MIT's self-driving cars. Also on the agenda, we'll be speaking about how robots replace 7 employees at a bank. Also on the agenda for tonight, we'll be talking about the Google autonomous vehicle crash. Like I said, all of these play a role into automation. We'll be talking about these 3 things and more tonight and how they affect us and ways we can either work around them, incorporate them into our daily lives, or have them, how we can take advantage of this technology. Hey, how you doing, Demiante? How you doing? I believe I sent you the link. I added you on the email. You can hop on. Like I said, tonight it's all about automation, via virtual reality falls automation, and AI, automated artificial intelligence, also falls automation. Any other topics that I can't think of right now that has to do with automation, we will talk about that too. So firstly, the first thing we'd like to talk about is MIT. MIT has, there's an Engadget article, our co-host Mike V has sent us, and it talks about how, let me go to that right now. MIT, I have to give it up for MIT. They mean business. That school is one school that I can say you're gonna learn something, even though it's expensive. I can say you are going to learn something. Let's see if I can share my screen so I can bring it up. Where are we at? Screen share. All right. MIT self-driving car can navigate unmapped country roads. It only needs its own sensor to travel through the backwoods. All right. And the article goes, there's a good reason why companies often test self-driving cars in big cities. They'd be lost most anywhere else. They typically need well-labeled 3D maps to identify curbs, lanes, and signs, which isn't much use on a backwoods road where those features might not even exist. MIT CSAIL may have a solution though. Its researchers, with some help from Toyota, have developed a new framework, map-like, that can find its way without any 3D maps. Okay. The system gets a basic sense of the vehicle's location using GPS and uses that for both the final destination and a local objective within view of the car. The machine then uses its onboard sensors to generate a path to those local points, using LiDAR to estimate the edges of the road, which tend to be much flatter than those surrounding landscapes. That's pretty ingenious. Country roads that are well walked does seem to be much flatter. I would never thought of that. That's one of those things that's ingenious thinking. The article also goes on to say, generic parameter-based models give the car a sense of what to do at intersections or specific roads. Map light isn't ready to handle everything. It doesn't know how to cope with mountain roads or other sharp changes in elevation, for instance. However, the ultimate goal is clear. CCEL wants autonomous cars that can safely navigate any road without hand-holding. While 3D maps may still be useful for dealing with the complexity of cities, this could be vital for rural trips, snowy landscapes, and other situations where the car needs to improvise. And there's a YouTube video. I'll leave a link of this article in the description. There's a YouTube video. It's about 1 minute and 30 seconds long of them showing how the car works and showing computer generation of the mapping of the car. So our other co-host is in. Let me stop the screen share. Mike V, how you doing today?
Hey, what's good, brother?
I'm doing well. How was your day?
It was good. Yours?
It was good. I read the article, this article, and some more articles you sent, and this is pretty impressive.
Absolutely. I only live about maybe 7 minutes away from MIT, so
I mean, the thought of them, just making cars that's just self-driving. They've been working on that for a couple of years, and we heard the stories, the little incidents here and there. But now they're just going to unmapped, uneven, uncurbed roads. That is amazing.
Well, we look at it from another perspective. Let's look at it from the military application and autonomous tanks.
Good point. Very good point. Because in the article they said that, which I thought it was really genius thinking, like ingenious thinking is one of them thoughts that's just simple, that in country roads normally the paths that are often traveled are worn, they're flat, they're beaten, so that's even easier for an autonomous vehicle to get a sense of where to go and where is it at in backwood situations. But you made a great point about the military.
Right. So in Syria, the Russians have been using autonomous 6x6 and 8x8 military vehicles, APCs, and as well as miniature gun-toting vehicles that can basically clear out an environment, from bad threat actors that they have to come in contact with, right? So you got guys in pickup trucks with technicals on the back of them. You send in a 6x6 or 8x8 into an environment that probably has been bombed multiple times, probably has IEDs planted in the ground. An application like MapLight can actually do a 3D modeling of this environment and send this information all the way back to your forward operating base.
Now, what do you mean by 3x3 and 8x8?
A 6x6?
Well, yeah, 6x6 and 8x8.
So these are the how many wheels, how many axles are or how many wheels are to the axle on the vehicle. So you have 6 wheels on a vehicle, then you have 8 wheels on a vehicle. So some of these Russian vehicles are called Urus 6 or Urus 8. Basically, these are it depends on the size of the vehicle and what its capabilities are, but that's basically what they are. They're 6x6, 6 wheels, and 3 axles, and then you have eight wheels and 4 axles.
Okay. Gotcha. Now, also with this technology, like I said, you brought up a good point with the military application. This this technology can, I'm thinking about it can expand once the autonomous vehicles are on the street, driverless cars. I think the term they used in the article was handheld vehicles. People don't drive it. It can really expand people out into the non-urban areas. That's what I'm thinking, because I know in the future there's been many reports saying in the future, large population of a large percentage of Earth's population will be in big cities. Will be close to large water areas. So I'm thinking this can actually somewhat expand the population out into non-urban areas.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's one capability.
This is nice. I like. Now MIT. I know you close to MIT. You in MIT's backyard. Oh, is that me?
What's up?
Oh, never mind. The website on for the next article, it had a automatic playing video. I said, I know you in MIT's backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you amazed at the type of projects and breakthroughs and experience they have going on there?
I used to be when I was younger, but after you've seen it, a dozen times or so, you're like, okay, I get where they're going. It's not uncommon for them, to walk up there and see what they're doing outside and things of that nature. I mean, they pretty much control the city of Cambridge, so they do have a lot of road development and things like that going on. Like, their part of the city, I'm in Boston, so they're in Cambridge. Their part of the city is completely modeled around what they want to do.
Really?
So if they have these autonomous vehicles and bike lanes and drone races and things like that, the whole environment is structured around their application. So
okay, so they test everything on Cambridge and see if it works, since the city is tailored to what they need. They test out in Cambridge. It works. They work out the kinks, the bugs, and once everything is a-okay, then they expand the technology out to other companies, and companies handle it and do what they want to do with it.
Because the city is closest to real time in real world application that it can get. Right. So if they were going to test it anyway, they're going to test it in their own front yard.
Okay. I was about to say the partnering company is Toyota. Now I'm thinking it's wise for Toyota to get to work with MIT on this automation. This cars driving on backwood roads. What I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
They're smart on their part, because it's like they're getting ahead of the curve. And if I was Toyota, I'm thinking, okay, if this works, imagine the capabilities we can have, knowing that autonomous vehicles are going to be something big in the future. Now you one step ahead of that. Because I know they had I noticed the cars they're driving were a lot of Priuses.
Well, they have a lot of excess, right? Toyota has a lot of excess of vehicle production on the assembly line, so it's not a big deal for them to give up a few cars, right, for research purposes. And this is pretty much what I've been talking about before, in terms of where Black people in particular can partner up with private institutions like Toyota and Mitsubishi and the rest of these private firms, um, for research and development, as well as job creation, as well as innovation, things of that nature. You partner up with with a larger entity that's looking to do something, and they did something similar in Africa with Microsoft and what's that other tech company in Kenya.
iHub.
Basically, no, not iHub. It's another company. I forget the name right now, but they partnered up for research and development.
Hmm.
It's the first Microsoft office to be opened up in
Yeah.
Africa. So what I'm getting around to is that these sort of partnerships can take place with Black people. So
Okay. The other article, man, this website is loaded with automatic videos. This Bloomberg, how 5 robots replaced 7 employees at a Swiss bank. Now, when people hear this, they're going to be like, see, that's how I told you. Automation's coming in. We're losing our jobs. We're losing our jobs. And on the other side, people say, well, automation happened in the past. They take the agricultural back in the late 1900s in America, how agriculture was, really
right.
the 1800s, how agriculture was 60% of the country's jobs, and the automation came in, but we created new jobs. Now, this, I understand the allure of businesses saying, hey, we can hire, we can have these automated robots, these this automated software to run the banks, and we don't have to actually pay X amount of employees. We can pay one or two, maybe even three employees to look over the software, look over the automation, and we can expand just based off technology. What do you think of that?
Um, China's already ahead of the curve.
Oh, yes, I remember the video. Yes.
China's already ahead of the curve. So, I with this whole decentralization of currency and institution, you have to ask yourself: would it be unfathomable that you just don't have many banks anymore? I mean, what would be the purpose?
True, because with cryptocurrency, you're your own bank. That's the allure of cryptocurrency.
And it offers sovereignty.
Yeah, yes, that's a good point. I do not have a comeback for that right now. So with the cryptocurrency, it will be shrinking the the amount of banks and branches already,
Mm-hmm.
which means less jobs for people. Then with this the few centralized banks that would be left over, it would obviously then it would be advantageous to them to use the type of technology, because since they're shrinking anyway, why would they need to just hire and pay employees, the bare minimum employees, when they can just again hire this autonomy to run their already shrunken fleet of branches? So to me, this is a double whammer.
It was inevitable, right? I mean, once they were able to connect um, networks together and provide services, or behind a data center, there was no real reason to keep and maintain these branches open and these other brick and mortar operations going. I mean, when is the last time you actually walked into a bank?
um, Years 2000. You know what? I know this because I'm with a certain bank. 2003 or 2004. It's been some years. I normally talk to them over the phone, and like everything is handled. They email me whatever forms I may need, and that's it.
I have an app on my phone, and I can pretty much take a picture of my check or my whatever bill it is, and I can scan it in through the camera on my phone, upload it. It deposits about 3 or 4 days later. I never walk into a bank.
And when I was growing up, I loved writing checks because I felt a sense of adulthood. I felt a sense of independence writing checks. And I remember asking my mother, how you write this check? What do you put here? What do you put there? Now that is just obsolete, almost obsolete. There's very little places that require you to pay things via a check. Very little, very few places. And with this mobile banking, with the centralized banking, you call the customer service, you ask, hey, I got a question, you gotta wait in line. You don't have to fill out no forms when you go to the bank. That's a lot of people. It's a lot of people gonna be out of jobs with this in the banking sector.
Well, you could thank Elon Musk and PayPal for that. They were the first ones to do it.
Elon Musk did work for PayPal, didn't
he? He created it.
Oh, God damn you! No, I mess with Elon Musk. But this is the say twist. Isn't he warning people about the sudden onslaught of automation?
He is, but I think it's more about it's more about just an advisory, right? So it's more like, hey, just as a heads up, this is happening, so don't be alarmed, right?
Okay.
Rather than you walk into you walk outside and you're like, what happened to everything? Because we don't have parking meters anymore. You pay by phone. By your smartphone.
I saw that. When I went down to Florida, I saw that we we rented a car and we parked, and I'm thinking, okay, we parked for free. Then I saw on the phone poles, the down there it was like a green sign. This is my first time I was seeing it, and saying, go to this, download this app, and you pay through there. And I'm thinking, well, how do they know which cars is which? But I saw it, and it to me, it's surprising because, like, man, they like forward thinking. Like, you park and walk away and pay for your parking space while you're walking away. That is pretty cool. Like the little nuances that you don't think of that this type of technology can bring is astounding, in my opinion.
Right, and we don't have toll booths anymore, so those are
Really?
gone as of about a couple years ago. So they have scanners over the highway that read your license plate as you come and go from each section. So
and then they send you a bill at the end of the month.
Right, and you can't renew your registration unless you pay your bill.
Whoa, so it's a lot of. And see, Illinois, we still got them toll booths, even though actually we still got the toll booth, and we do have that big thing over the highway, but that's for people who have the iPass or just don't feel like going through the toll booth. They go through there. That see, like this is the stuff. This is the little stuff, the little things people may not think about, and you think about it and you say, I wonder if it's possible, and you find out it's possible, and you go along with it and you build it, and next thing you know, boom, it turns to something big. Because that, I remember going through toll booths and the monotony of going and you ain't got enough change, and depending on who the toll booth operator, they can be an a-hole, and oh my God, just bringing up horror stories almost of you got to turn around, people got to back up. But this is just simpler.
Well, think about the criminal aspect behind it, right? You have insiders who are handling the toll operators who are collecting the change, and it was, one for the state and two for me in my pocket.
Yes. That I know, not from experience. I never worked for in Tobu, but I can imagine. Yeah, yeah. I mean, hey, I'm behind on this. Let me get these two. Let me get two dimes. I'm a either they shortchange the person paying you know what, this is how slick it is, because either okay, a person give them $1 and the toll is 30 cents. What they'll do is give them a whole bunch of change in their hand. So the average person not gonna sit up and count all that change. They're gonna look at it and okay, this is about right. But the toll booth operator shorted them a dime, something small, a small amount. But multiply that dime by 4, 6, 8 hours, you're gonna get an extra 10, 20, 30, $40 a day.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. The criminal aspect of it is, yeah, it's gone. It's almost gone.
And a lot of people who were never prosecuted for their crimes, right? So, those people should be thankful that they got away while they could, because it's all larceny at this point, or grand larceny, I should say.
Yeah, he's stealing from the state.
Right. So we can also take it one step further. Think about drones and the camera technology that's involved in it now, right? So most drones that you can buy on a consumer level have that capability where they can read license plates.
Mm-hmm.
You have a street full of cars that are parked past their time, or they're abandoned, or something to that effect. You can have a drone just come by and sweep from a ISR perspective, and just basically collect all those license plates and calculate how much time they've been sitting there since the last time the drone has passed. So if a drone passed every 45 minutes to the hour, it can calculate the amount of time that vehicle or that license plate has been sitting in that same position, to say this car has pretty much lapped this much time either being idle or just sitting there, and we're gonna automatically bill this car based on the duration of the day. Those same parking, those same those same transportation officers who actually come out there and write tickets, that job is gone.
I was just about to ask that. Because they just send you a bill at the end of the month. And go ahead, they have what?
No, I was just going to say they have that in Kenya and they have that in China now.
Now, and imagine, toward the end of the month, because I've been victim of this. I'm pretty sure a lot of other people have been victim of this, where a quota needs to be met, and normally you drive 1 to 5 miles per hour over the speed limit, and the 27th, 28th, 29th of the month, you get stopped, and you saying, what why are you stopping me that? Because the quota needs to be met. So imagine them applying that to petty little parking tickets, petty little, oh, you've been here, you parked 5 minutes past, or just small minute numbers, or not even that, the boot. Because every month is everybody get a fresh, not everybody, but those people who they get a fresh new boot on their car beginning of every month. Like, there's a lot of money that could be made by the government through this, and they're not going to let this pass, because now it's more effective. This is more efficient. The efficiency of it is can drive their how much money they get up,
the revenue.
Yes.
Yeah. So they have a new technology that they've been working on the last year or so. Instead of putting the boot on the car, they just put a blanket over the windshield. You can't see out.
Huh? Wait, you gotta explain that to me.
It's a blanket it's like a security blanket that basically covers your windshield and sticks to it, and it's magnetic, so you can't even remove it even if you wanted to. So you would have to call somebody, call the city or call the state to come by with a special scanner to unlock the magnetic grips that's on the windshield that's holding the blanket to your windshield.
Wow. That.
Because not every car can take a boot, right? So you think about those rappers or those cats who run around with these big 28, 30-inch rims. You can't really put a boot on it.
No, you can't. You can't. So with this, they could put a magnetic blanket on every windshield.
Right. It looks like a gym mat. Basically, it looks like a gym mat, but it's like yellow, and you can just slap it across the windshield, and it basically has 4 locks on it, and you can't see out, so you can't drive anywhere unless you reverse the car backwards. But even still, how far can you go?
No, you won't get stopped. But that is so funny though, that somebody came up with that. Hey, put some little, because it's so simple. Put some little windshield. They're not gonna do nothing now. Okay, so we got no meters for parking, no more toll booths, no more booths. The efficiency of the, what you want to say, traffic department, the city's traffic department is going to become more efficient because of the potential of having drones monitor, if people overstay their parking. What else have I been seeing? See, I'm in Illinois, so I think we behind the ball on some things, on a lot of things, to tell you the truth.
Well, don't forget that Illinois is a bankrupt state.
Yes, indeed. So our governor is a billionaire.
Yeah, so there will be some delayed gratification from a civil operations standpoint.
Our governor is literally a billionaire. And he won the election some type of way.
Well, somebody voted for him.
A lot of people voted for him. Okay, well, okay, what else? Okay, now we know banks are going to get smaller. We know banks are not in the future. They're not going to hire a lot of staff in the future. They're not, So it's almost like, okay, if I know this in the future, why? I was about to say, why go to school? Yeah, some schools do offer a degree in banking and some type of banking, but to be a teller, their job is gone now. Well, in a few years, it's going to be just about gone. This is in the process of being phased out, I should say. So,
and that, well, to your point, right? Their role would be gone, but would that person be gone? What else would they be doing? So you would probably shift that person over into being like an office manager or something to that effect, because you still there's still a desire for humans to interact with other humans. If something goes wrong, they don't like picking up the phone and talking to a robot because it doesn't jive well with them. And the same thing with India. You can't really outsource your customer service to India because Americans don't like talking to Indians.
Man, brother, it's sad to say this, but Dale has a big problem with that. I get so irritated, and I'm not buying any more computers from Dell just because of that. Because every time I call them, they're supposed to have that option of speaking to someone from America.
No, no.
Oh my God.
They moved their operations from India back to the United States because of that. But when you really think about it, it's the dialect, right? It's not really so much English, but it's the dialect behind Indians that makes it difficult to understand and have a conversation with them. But this is where Africans come in because they speak good English because they were colonized by your British and your other colonial powers, right? So you can't really tell that much of a difference between African American and African
Right.
when you're over the phone if you're just doing customer service.
Now, I've had one customer service. I think it was Sprint, where they were in India, and I asked someone to speak American, and they put me on the phone with someone, and I spoke to him. I'm like, okay, good, I am American. Because for Sprint at the time, I guess they had office in both places. I think he had office in South Carolina, one of the Carolinas. But at the end of the conversation, at the end of this person helping me, she reverted back to her Indian accent. And I was like, I can't get mad because she accommodated me. She was so good at switching her dialect that I actually believed that she was from America. But a lot of Indian people can't do that. They have that strong accent, and a lot of times what I get is they try to tell you your problem in the first few seconds of you telling them your problem, man. That's when it just that's when it just goes left.
Mm-hmm.
It just goes left, and I've had arguments with them over the phone when I'm trying to tell them, no, that's not my problem. Would you listen? And they try and tell me my problem. Oh my God.
Well,
It's
you know
bad.
what's going to replace India in that regard would be AI, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the AI would pretty much know from a list of problems that was already seen at a current time or at a past time to say, okay, is this your problem, or is this or you'll probably click 1 through 9, right? Whatever the numerical value would be on your keypad to say this was my problem or something close to it, and then the AI would basically give you an answer almost immediately based on the numerical pad that you chosen, and you would never have to really speak to an Indian person. Now, some of the stuff that Microsoft has been working on is basically the new version of Windows can basically resolve issues for you through AI without actually contacting tech support. So if you had a problem with your printer, it will try to fix your printer for you before you even pick up the phone and call tech support. And if it
Really?
can't fix that problem, then what happens is you'll get a call from tech support to have somebody remote into your computer and actually try to resolve it for you.
That's pretty cool. They're well, it's being proactive. I like that. I like that a lot. Now, where does not security, well, security and personal privacy come into that? Because it's almost like they're prying into what you're doing on a daily basis. And what I mean when I say that is, okay, they say, well, okay, you've been printing a lot of paper, so because of that, the AI would say this may break. So now people may say, well, it's keeping an eye on how much I print, and some people may not take that easily.
Well, they already collected that information from you anyways when you sign up for Windows.
Yeah.
When you sign up for Windows, you're basically submitting that some data that is collected on your computer will be used for research purposes or for technical support purposes. So,
I know they ask you if I think this Microsoft, they ask you if um, it crashes, would you like to send a crash report to um, Microsoft? I could be thinking of Google, but either way, they do ask you as an option, would you like to send a crash report if and when your software crashes?
mhm.
So that I know. I always say no, but I mean they probably collect it anyway. The other thing on the list you sent was the minivan, Google minivan in autonomous mode evolved and crashed in Arizona. And in parentheses, it says update. Waymo says van was actually in manual mode. Now, I remember a conversation between a couple of guys that was saying, "Hey, how you doing, Ulysses? Ulysses, fine. We finally drag Ulysses in here, and he's in the he's in the chat room."
Cool.
But yeah, I remember a couple of guys having a conversation about the autonomous vehicle. If I have is it if it have an accident, who's at fault? Is it the autonomous vehicle? And someone was saying, no, it's not the autonomous vehicle because it was only following the rules of the road. And I think at the time, the person was crossing the street, they were jaywalking, and an autonomous vehicle hit them. So it was, you had a moral dilemma. Um, you had a moral dilemma. You had, what's wrong, who's at fault. Of course, the people who installed the technology don't really want to be at fault because they can be sued to bankruptcy and they can close down. But yeah, this autonomous vehicle, another autonomous vehicle has had an accident. So,
and it won't be the last. It won't be the last.
Oh no. Oh, and now they're saying I'm guessing they're saying it was in manual mode just to circumvent all the backlash if it was why they believe that it was in autonomous mode. That's why I'm guessing they saying it was in manual mode. So, anything you want to say about this one?
So Waymo provides the technology to drive the vehicle. I don't know, I don't know all the details to it. So what my opinion is on it is that I think you're going to see a lot of bad code written. It's not uncommon that code that either made it through quality assurance or code that just stopped, that had a bug in it, it just flew under the radar. No one knew what happened. So it's not uncommon that you would see software develop or malfunction, so to speak, right? And have an accident. Now, when you're talking about a vehicle of that size, especially like a minivan, a minivan weighs something like 4,000 pounds. That's a lot of weight coming at you at 30, 35 miles an hour.
It becomes a weapon at that time. It becomes a weapon at that point.
Well, not just a weapon, but an uncontrolled object, right? So you just because there's nobody behind the wheel and there's nothing you can really do about it, you can't really, who's really at fault, right?
Right. And how do you tell the family, oh, it wasn't, it was nobody's fault if ruling comes out and say, well, you can't blame the autonomous vehicle. Now we have another guest / host, Mr. Ulysses. How you doing today?
I'm good, gentlemen.
Hey, how's everyone? Chilling, man. Chilling.
I'm chilling, man. Y'all, I want to make sure that I get in to contribute. We want to grow these discussions out. So you guys bear with me if you hear a little bit of noise. I'm making some salmon croquettes.
Okay, no problem.
Outside of that, man, I want to chime in while I'm cooking because I think this is a worthy topic. We had some emails going around in the groups actually pertaining to autonomous vehicles and some of the stuff that's rolling out. In reference to what you guys are speaking about, I think we can go back to maybe like about a month ago on one of BGS's hangouts where we talked about this, that accident that occurred.
Yes.
And the ruling was basically stated was that, based on the information that was gleaned from the car's computers, based on the traffic signal, what was going on, traffic situation, and all of that, it was determined that the error wasn't on the part of the car, the self-driving car, and that what it was that it was due to, I think you guys mentioned it before, basically a person jaywalking.
Yes. Now, you know, a family is not going to take that sitting down. You know, they're going to appeal it, take it to the highest court they can that will accept that case. And like Mike said, this is not going to be the last accident. This technology is not going to be perfected. It's going to be accidents. So how can, you know, that's a hard.
Well, it's perfected once you remove the human equation, right? Because again, the determination was already made that all of the traffic, all the traffic conditions, right, were such that the vehicle, based on its programming and based on the traffic situation, the car did nothing wrong. Right. So the thing about it is that, you know, a family not accepting a ruling would kind of be like, you know, Pookie commits, you know, a murder via gang activity and kills somebody, and then the judge hands him a sentence, and then the family in the courtroom says, no, free him. It's like, okay, well, you may not like the outcome, but the outcome is the outcome for a reason. Now, once you set a precedent, legal precedent with regards to this, then what takes shape then is that now legislation will legally be tilted in favor of the autonomous vehicle industry. You need this ruling to go. You need this ruling to go the way of the autonomous self-driving industry. So that's the whole nature of these legal precedents. Is yes, there will be other incidences, and then you know what? They're going to use this one as the precedent.
Yes, I agree with you. Now, what do you have to say about that, Mike?
I actually agree with Complex. Basically, you know, going forward, when you start having car sharing and ride sharing and things of that nature, people won't own vehicles anymore, so they won't be at fault even if they are behind the wheel or in the passenger seat.
Right.
And you're gonna have companies like Budget partner up with GM and what do you call that? Enterprise, you know, aligning themselves up with companies like Ford to manage the distribution of the fleets of these autonomous vehicles. So you have levels of ownership and partnership that's involved. That's going to be a shock absorber for litigation. So who made the technology? Who manufactured the vehicle? Who controls the fleet of the vehicles? And you know, and who's insuring this, right? Because typically insurance is an individual process and not so much as a corporate process.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
That's a good, like we just talked about, these little nuances that these little small things that you may not think of. Okay, if you don't own a vehicle, do you still have to pay insurance? And if you don't, go ahead.
No, wait. You said well, with regards to what? Like ride sharing?
No, autonomous vehicles. If you don't own it, cause okay, well let's say with Budget and Enterprise and those companies, right now as it stands, you still have to pay insurance when you rent a vehicle.
Yeah.
So if it's autonomous and you don't drive it, do you still have to pay insurance?
No. That'll be part of the cost of basically just accessing the vehicle, right? Okay, so let's just say we have a Budget rent-a-car, right? And it's autonomous. And let's say it's using Waymo's platform. Now, if an accident is caused because of a glitch in Waymo system, you're not at fault. Matter of fact, I don't even think legally you could bind an insurance policy to someone, right, based on something that is completely out of their control, that has nothing to do with their input, right? And as a matter of fact, if you operated a business where your cars were going to be self-driving and they were going to drive other people around, you would actually be on the hook for insurance, not the customer.
The company or enterprise or budget the rental car places.
Yeah, they would be on the hook, not you.
Now, logically, that makes sense. Logically, yes, I agree with you. That makes sense. But you know, this is a lot of times an illogical world.
Well, no, it's not necessarily. What you'll probably want to do is you just want to make sure that you're self-insured.
Okay.
Right. So there's going to be the insurance that is going to deal with anything that was outside of your control, and then there's your own personal insurance that covers your own well-being, right? Your own like life insurance or something like that.
Okay. So you'll just have a personal life insurance that will cover.
Yeah. Well, I think. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, truthfully speaking, man, most people should. I know that's not necessarily something that we really stress, but you know, we should all have like some sort of policy.
And then you know, what could happen, the insurance companies, that if that judgment comes down to, hey, you know, people are not actually responsible, and a lot of insurance companies can change, or not change, but add that into the insurance, that hey, if you're hurt in a autonomous vehicle and you're driving in it, or if you're not driving in it, you know, that's covered by your insurance. But again, people need to get the insurance in order for them to be covered by the insurance. Now, I want to listen. I want to ask you this. Earlier, me and Mike was talking about the how robots replaced 7 employees at a Swiss bank, and he made some good points. Made some great points. Of I think I don't know if you heard how drones can be used by the city to monitor parking.
Yeah.
Drones can be used to monitor if people owe money to the city in terms of parking tickets or traffic light tickets, and how that entire sector can now come streamlined, can now become efficient. What do you think of that?
Well, I think all of that is, I think that's a consequence of the technology.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
There was a video, I think it was Mike or one of you guys sent out, and it's you know, pertaining to you know, I guess people are predicting a crash in the crypto markets.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
You know,
Ethereum could be. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, right. I mean, so look, you have people who, on the one hand, you know, they are slow to adopt. Okay, and then there's others who are going to adopt the platform, but they're going to get in at an advantageous standpoint, because you know they were formerly against the position. It's kind of what you have now, you know, based on that video I was watching. You know, so with all changing paradigms, I mean, you're gonna have you know, the people who are for it, who are going to push it because they're largely behind the technology. They have an interest in it, you know, in it growing. And then there's others who, you know, this oncoming new industry, new technology, new way of doing is diametrically opposed to their firmly established business that is firmly established in the old paradigm. You know, so I mean, I personally, you know, I take a standpoint of, okay, well, the first thing is that I'm not someone who is opposed to technology. So whatever's coming online, I'm like, okay, I got to adopt it. I got to figure out what this is, how to use it, what its purpose is, how can I best gain from it.
Now you just mentioned something. You put it succinctly, a consequence of the technology. What other, in your mind, what other consequences of technology, the upcoming technology, in this case automation, artificial intelligence, things that falls into those categories. What, in your mind, what other consequences of technologies can pop up?
I mean, look, I think the technology is like, it's like anything else, right? Like, nothing is like 100% fail proof. It can't be, right? Like, nothing is 100% fail proof. So, as far as like the technology in and of itself, it is what it is. I think the more users you have, it's like okay, so let's take, for example, like take Linux. When Linux was rolled out, it was an open source thing, and it was largely for your software geeks, right? And then it became more user friendly. Then it became something that was now running on your smartphone. Now Linux vis-a-vis Android is basically the largest used operating system. But if you were to go back 20 years ago and talk to people about using Linux and stuff, they'd have been like, "What? That's for geeks."
Yeah, I agree with you.
All
right, now, Mike, let me go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like technology, man. It's one thing I can say is that you can either choose, how you use technology, right? You can choose how you use it. You can choose to apply it however you wish. But what I wouldn't suggest is being ignorant of it.
Yeah. If you don't embrace it, you are. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You are going to get left behind.
Yeah. Simple as that.
Now, Mike, let me ask you this. With so many people, I've had someone ask me, hey, I subscribe to a YouTube channel. Do I need to pay for it? And I told them no. But in my mind, I'm thinking like, wow, a lot of people are behind in some of the technology that we just use every day, don't even think of. But a lot of people are not even used to that. Even a couple years ago, there was a famous video that people shared where the guy said, "Hey, does anyone know how to download video to Facebook?" But those little technologies, some people are not, like I said, used to. What do you think about what those people that refuse, the dinosaurs, they refuse to come and be current, that they refuse to accept modernity? What position are they in? Will be in the future?
So it becomes an issue of literacy, right? So one, there's a fear of getting too caught up in the moving of the technology and trying to keep up with it, and then the downside to that is you become more illiterate. So the literacy rate for Black men is pretty low as it is, right? And then you factor in the digital literacy aspect, where you just don't know how to navigate around, this the zeros and ones in this environment. You're left behind.
Now, I just to kind of chime in on what Mike is saying. I mean, it's like you have to view technology much like something that could potentially either be beneficial to your life or be harmful to it. Okay, so if you choose to not acknowledge it, then what you could quickly find is that in a set amount of time, you could be looking around you and you won't know how to interface with your surroundings. Right? That's why it's kind of like, look, the technology and like learning it or at least understanding it I don't feel is an option. I don't feel that that's a personal option. It's much like when I was 15, right? What I was told to eat in order to be a healthy person isn't exactly the same as what I'm being told today, what I need to consume in order to be a healthy person. Okay. So, but the science is in. So a lot of the things that I consume today are things that I didn't consume when I was 15. But I can say that, you know, based on my, you know, what I do, I'm active and all that kind of stuff, I can cooperate that. Now, same can be said for technology. If you're stuck using technology from like 15, 20 years ago, okay, then, you know, when everything swiftly shifts over to a cryptocurrency platform, you know, and you're still talking about getting a money order, you know, or something like that, going to the you know, liquor store and, you know, cash and check or something like that, or you get hired at a new job and they tell you, oh, we pay in crypto. And you have no concept of like, okay, what does that mean? Right? Like, that's kind of where you can see for yourself why, you know, at least being literate in tech is at the very minimum a requirement just for, you know, as far as like a basic life skill, in my view anyway.
Now let me ask both of you all this question. Was at any point recently, within the past couple years, you all faced a situation where you felt that you did not understand the technology, that you felt that you did not, that you were behind in understanding what was going on, the new rollout of technology in the world? Have any of you felt that way?
Well, speaking for myself, you know, I'm forced to be constantly learning, but even I don't know everything, right? So I'm not so much as program illiterate, but I don't know all the languages because that's not my job. That's not what I do. My responsibilities and duties are focused elsewhere, so I don't have to do that, and it's somebody else that takes care of all that. Now, if I did know all of that, I would probably make twice as much money as I do now. However, it would behoove me to actually spend a few hours a week actually looking into all this stuff, to things that I'm just not privy to. There's C++, there's Java, there's Ruby on Rails, there's all types of programming languages that I should know. I just don't know.
Okay.
We can't know it all, but we can strive to. And what that always does is that it keeps you at the forefront of learning. You know, I always think I'm behind until I start talking with the majority of people. And then I find they have no clue what I'm talking about. Right. So it's all subjective, you know. You know, it's like those kids in that Max Kaiser video, you know, they're 15 years old. Look, you know, most 15-year-olds aren't talking the way they're talking. Most. Now, I will say this, there's probably a lot. But the way they were talking on that show, that's not a conversation that they have with everyone, you know. And even with them, I'm pretty sure they feel as though it's like, you know, there's always more that they can know.
Yeah.
You know, we're all of us are in this constant quest for knowledge. I would hope so. I know I am. You know, I don't feel as though like a day is actually been worthy unless I learn something.
Now me personally, I try to stay abreast because it seems like it's going fast. It's happening. It's back, you know, back and forth, back or back to back. Now, the situation I was in, I used to use WhatsApp a lot, you know, to talk to people, and I was using, you know, then, you know, I noticed not a lot of people were going on WhatsApp, and when I would go to their, you know, WhatsApp to text them and to say last time seen was this date. Then all of a sudden, I hear about Telegram. You know, I get into cryptocurrency and people say, well, go to the Telegram page. This is a good community. I'm like, what's Telegram? Yeah. Then then all of a sudden I heard of Discord. I'm like, what the hell is Discord? Then all of a sudden I heard about Slack. I'm like, golly, man, this is a lot of stuff. But then when I started interacting with Telegram, interacting with Discord, I'm like, hey, man, this is all right.
Well, I mean, and the thing is that those things aren't any different than, and maybe Mike, maybe you can recall, like services like, what was it, SourceForge? Like those file repositories where like people would have open projects and then they would throw it up. And I'm trying to remember, there was one popular suppository back in like the 2000s, right, where people sort of used it much like a Discord. But what you have is you have more new technologies now that make a service like a SourceForge or something like that more robust. And in its current day context, it's now something like a Discord. Now, what we're talking about would be like somebody who was used to using SourceForge back in the day, right? But then they look at Discord and they're just like, you know, this has too much stuff going on with that. I don't understand it all. You know, SourceForge that's good enough. It works for me. Oh, okay. You know, but when out of convenience and other factors, as more people migrate over to just newer technologies and all of that, you know, you quickly find yourself on the back burner, on the back end, man.
Yes, you do.
That's just how it happens.
Like the computer I use is a couple years old, and I like it, even though I know I need a new. I at some point in time I need another computer, but I'm used to it. I know it, but the newer computers are much powerful. They make things much simple. They're smaller, which is good. But a lot of people, like you said, Ulysses, when you speak to people, you quickly find out that, hey, even though I think I'm behind, I'm actually ahead of a lot of people. And that is not to say don't stop learning. Please continue to learn. But when you find out you're ahead of a lot of people, you know, okay, I'm in a good position to have a better outcome.
Well, and you know, look, I think the other thing too is this. You know, I'm fully aware. You know, is complex, because I think I am. There are those. Yeah, you see what I did there? There are those who are far more so than I am, and you know, I strive to be every bit as advanced. What it is, you know, my pursuits and what I try to do and how I go about them. You know, and like, look, that's it's funny. This was actually a topic of discussion. You know, with regards to pursuit of perfection. You know, all of these things are the pursuit of perfection, to make things ever more efficient, quicker, faster, smarter, more intelligent, right? Like that's sort of like the sum total of what your life's purpose is, right? Is to acquire all of those things or to become that in such a way where, you know, it enriches your life as you get older. You know what I mean? There's like this crescendo effect. I mean, you know, when they do you can look this up, the study is, you know, the majority of men don't make, you know, they don't become rich. They don't make the majority of their money until actually they hit 50.
Really?
Yeah, look that up. You think the majority of rich people are Gen Xers and millennials?
Actually,
No,
I
majority
did.
of wealthy people are boomers.
I did hear something saying Warren Buffett didn't make the bulk. He didn't make the bulk of his money, the vast majority of his money, until he was 50.
Yeah. You know. Now, I think with the new paradigm of this new landscape, I think what you have now is you have like equalization with regards to cryptocurrency and the whole decentralized nature of blockchain and cryptocurrency. Like nowadays, you can pretty much be anyone get in the game, 15 even, and stake your claim, right, and make your money. That's very possible. That's very possible. You know.
Now,
so yeah.
Mike, I know you heard, because everybody heard of this, that whoever's at the forefront of AI in the future will be basically king. AI, AI, automated, artificial intelligence. How? Give us a like a eye-opening summary of how important and how big this will be in the future. This can be and will be in the future. Because I know when people hear it, since they don't have anything tangible right in front of them to say, okay, yeah, I understand it, they just hear it without them attaching it to anything that they know of.
Well, the famous words earlier this year was by Putin, who said, and this was in the Washington Post. They reported it. Whoever controls AI controls the world. So basically, whoever drives the leading technology will be the ones in charge of the masses. So when you think about Silicon Valley, you think about who owns Facebook, who owns Uber, Lyft, and LinkedIn, and all of these other social media platforms. There's only about 10 people in Silicon Valley that controls, 3-4 billion people in the rest of the world through social media. I think we talked about this before, but the guys who started Google were actually married to
Yeah, we did.
the people who started YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube. Yeah.
Hold on, Complex. I'm gonna mute you. Just, I think. It's
wait. I'm sorry, dude. Hold on. Told you I was doing some cooking, man. That's
yeah. It smells good. It smells good. Now, how big? Like, because even me, I have a hard time wrapping my head trying to figure out how big this can be. Because no, I'm not in the know. I know what I've looked up, what you all tell me, what you all teach me. That is the extent of what I have to build my knowledge base, to build my thinking of knowing how big this thing will be in the future. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of people are shortchanging themselves based on this. Like, this is going to be revolution. This will change the world.
Look, let's look at it like this, right? Because here's the thing, right? If we take our blinders off and we look at this thing like logically for just a second, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you can say that the same can be said, right, for the internet. Like, if you could think back prior to the internet, okay, if you're that old, like myself or Mr. Vincent over here, we remember when there was no internet, when it wasn't commonplace, and we remember how things were like. Okay, and we could see how things have changed because of the internet,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I'm just saying, like, I've been through revolutionary shifts and social shifts, right? Technological shifts. We've been through that. The internet is what it is enabled all of this in the first place. So much like how we've basically just kind of gone ahead and moved along and gone along with everything, and took on the internet as it came on. We're going to do the same thing with this stuff. Okay. Now, what you have available to you is the option at this point to actually be involved from an industrial standpoint. Okay. I think that's the one thing that really should sort of stand out with regards to a potential paradigm such as this is, okay, well, how do we actually become a player? I don't necessarily look at it as something where I'm fearful of it. That's not really the position I'm taking on it anyway. Mike, maybe you've got some thoughts on that.
Yeah, I agree with Ulysses that before, if you wanted to get into the industry, if you wanted to get your feet wet, that required a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
You had to load up multiple floppy disks, 5 1/4, 3.5 floppy disks. You had to even be able to afford a computer. right?
Mhm.
Now you can get yourself a Chromebook for like $50, $60. They even giving them away now. If
Think about it.
Because I don't know about Illinois and California, but I know out here they have Google partnered with the city of Boston, and then basically you can take some classes on SketchUp, on just learning Google, Chrome, and at the end of the class you get a Chromebook.
Get a Chromebook. Yeah, they got that here too.
Right. So now you have access to the hardware, and you have access to the code base to write your own code. Before you didn't have that.
Bro, I mean, that's kind of what I'm getting at here, man. I'm like, how are we looking at all of this? I think that's the important question. That, you know, I'm seeing. Like I said, I'm kind of seeing open playing field in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what I'm seeing here. I mean, based on what I'm doing personally, right? So I can speak from experience, and as a matter of fact, all three of us can, because we've been on private discussions, right, about some of these future technologies. So I don't see where the apprehension is that this would be akin to being afraid of getting involved in the .com industry back in the early 90s.
Now, I'll admit, when I first came into crypto, I was scared. I wasn't scared in terms of, how people say they're scared of things. I was fearful in terms of I didn't know how to do this. But I looked it up. I spent a lot of time on YouTube, and I figured it out. Just like with this automation, there's going to be casualties in terms of people losing their jobs. Jobs are being phased out. Even it's going to go to the point where people are in school to study something, and in the middle of their education, they find out, hey, there's no more jobs in this field, so you have to switch. There's going to be a lot of complaining. Oh my God, there's going to be a lot of complaining. And oh my God.
Lionel, I stepped away for a quick second. Could you repeat that?
Now I'm saying there's going to be casualties in terms of people losing their jobs. Is either going to go to the point where people that are in school in the middle of their education, learning about something, and they find out the field they're studying is going to be phased out. The job's going to be phased out. And I was saying that there's going to be a lot of complaining in the future. A lot of people complaining, people protesting, but in the midst of that backlash to this automation, to this orange surge of automation, those who look at it and accept it is what it is and change mid-stride, change and accept it and say, I'm going to grab this bull by the horns and I'm going to go with the flow. Those are the people that are going to be ahead of the vast majority of people in the world, really.
Look. Let me again. I'm gonna circle this back. I want to make this a very mundane topic. Right? Look, circle it back to mid going into the late 90s, where all companies started to implement an email system, right? And all your old head people who basically started their working careers using like word processors and typewriters and shit, right? This whole email shit was completely blowing up. Fast forward to 2018, you check your goddamn email on your phone.
While you walking down the street,
while you're at the gym working out, all that kind of shit. Look, bottom line is this is what I'm saying. It's like, from a on the ground position, my current day position, what we're doing is that you're looking at the future and you're considering your current day, your current day inconveniences, right? And how those current day inconveniences are going to play out into the future. And the whole point of future technology is that it removes the modern day inconveniences. See, so we view future technology, right, from a skewed standpoint to begin with. That's part of the problem. I'll tell you right now, I'm an even Mike, technocrats. I would say very much so. I'm a technocrat, futurist even. So I look at it and say, okay, well, what can I do with that?
Go ahead, Mike. You have anything to say about this?
I can echo what Ulysses is saying. How do we leverage this to advance ourselves?
Right.
And it doesn't always have to be about, where am I going to find a job if I go to college and things of that nature. Most of the time,
you'll create the new jobs. You'll create the new jobs.
Exactly. And most of the time you go to college, it's mostly about networking.
Hmm.
Who you know, shaking hands, who you work with, who you find your alliances with. If you look at that Max Kaiser video and listen to the two 15-year-olds, one of them said that it's best to just find people that are like-minded like you and surround yourself by like-minded people.
What did that kid do when Max Kaiser asked him about the prospect of going to college?
He shrugged it off.
He's 15 years old. He gets it. He gets it already. He already gets it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we are in a position when growing up, I always heard, these great eras in history, these great transitional periods in history, and growing up, I always thought, we live in the okay, right now is okay. It's not much going on. Blah blah blah. Okay, whatever. Now, I don't think that. I see, I hear, I understand. I'm being taught of what's going on and what's about to come. And it's like, wow, okay, how can I get in where I fit in? How can I use this to my advantage? How can I, get the best of this? That's what I'm thinking.
Lionel, let me say this, man. I used to work at a certain institution, and they bring on, they don't discriminate against anybody, for the most part. They had a woman who had problems with her limbs on both her hands and on both her hands, so she couldn't type. You know how she put code in?
How?
She typed with her feet.
This was
And this is in the workplace. They put her in what we call a fishbowl, basically an isolated environment, so that you can't know what's going on. The glass frosts itself, basically, they can see out, but you can't see in.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
And she's in the fishbowl, typing with her feet, putting in code. So when I hear these cats come on here and they try to disrupt the conversation because they don't want to talk about AI and automation and things of that nature and the next generation of technology, I see two 15-year-old Indians right in the world. I see a woman who has limb issues, who types with her feet, types with her toes. Code. Not typing the email, but typing code. And she's proficient at it.
Look, it's about the code, man. It's about the code itself. Look, however you type it is how it gets typed. We need the code. And if you can write a really good, efficient string of code, you're hired.
Mm-hmm.
You need to type with your feet.
Didn't stop. Right. It didn't stop Stephen Hawkins.
Nope. Sure the hell didn't.
Show ain't stopping me. I tell you, it was.
Look, man. Look. The thing is this: there's a purpose and a point to technology. Okay, it's supposed to equalize things. It's supposed to make things easier and more efficient. Okay, so you've got to understand the logic in how you would create something from that standpoint. You're not necessarily doing it from a race-based position or anything like that. In certain technology, no one writes code, saying, "Oh, black people ain't going to get this." If you know C++, you know C++. Okay, that's pretty much how it works. Right? So it's about the importance of utilization, right? For the whole purpose of creating things, right? Creating systems that might serve your immediate community, or it might serve industry. Okay, it might serve the public sector, the private sector. I mean, who's to say? Who's to say? But the thing about it is this: look, it's going to happen one way or the other. Either you can have a hand in it, get involved with it, or not. You can just be privy to it.
It's going to happen. So either you on board or not. Make your mind up, buddy.
Yeah. Or you know what I'm saying? Like, and if you're going to do that, might as well make some money in it. That's the part I don't get.
Nah. See you gotta understand, brother.
What do I gotta understand?
It's all of that. Like when they say that, it's like, oh my god, they ain't getting nothing I just said.
I don't know. I don't know what to say about that, man. I mean, I think there's a few brothers that have kind of decided to partner up, and which one thing I want to just acknowledge, Mary, on the hangout, just shout out to you guys, because I heard recently that it's impossible for things to happen because Black people can't work together. I think that's utter bullshit. No.
I'm sorry, but ever since Trump won the election, anything's possible.
Well, I mean, look, it's not a matter of if anything's possible. I think the issue here is that if you get like-minded individuals together, right, that have a singular purpose, then you can get some shit done, right? I think really the issue or the question here is what's important. There's relatively few of us, right, having these discussions to this degree. And Mike, I don't know. You give me your insights on this. I used to think that there was more groups of brothers like ourselves having these types of discussions and what have you. But I'm finding that's not necessarily the case. Is that just me, or?
No, it's not just you.
Okay. All right, man.
Definitely a limited amount of participants in that space. And the ones who do know.
There's no more in here.
For the most part, they isolate themselves.
I can see why they isolate themselves, because trying to talk to other people that are not thinking like them, it gets frustrating.
Well, look. Here's the problem I'm seeing with this, right? Because look, if we're to follow what it is that we know based on a lot of the crypto analysis that we do, and then we factor in automation, artificial intelligence, right? These are your cornerstones of what our new sort of global outlook is going to be based upon, right? And then as sort of like a secondary component, hemp and cannabis will be a large part of that as well. Okay, so if those core truths aren't something that's like so firmly ingrained that it really sort of permeates throughout your worldview, right? So everything that you think, and you guys can corroborate this. You get up in the morning, and when you think about what comes across the news, right, you automatically start thinking from a global perspective, like a map pops up in your head, and as the information is fed to you, and they start telling you which players from which countries are involved, you start connecting little dots here and there. At least that's what takes place with me every day.
I understand what you're saying.
Right. You know what I mean? Now, if that's not what's happening on a daily basis, then yeah, you know what? Then I guess we are doomed. I guess nothing is going to happen, huh? But see,
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say all you need is you just need man, look, like you got boards of umbrella companies that really only have like five guys sitting on the board. That's all you need. You need 5 guys who are serious about this shit. right? They can run a multinational, justified.
When what and just to elaborate a little on what you were saying. When you, like you said, when you wake up, you look at the news, world news, and you hear, hey, this country is doing this, and based on your working knowledge of what's going on geopolitically, you say, okay, I understand that move now, and now your knowledge base is updated, and you're able to move based off of what's going on. You're able to position yourself in a better position.
Yeah. And then if there's people that you get other sources of information from, you check in with them, you see what their take is. I mean, look, this is the thing, man. It's like the way technology is right now, there's no reason why every individual shouldn't have like a working knowledge of like global politics, global markets, and all that. This stuff isn't fuzzy logic anymore, man. There's too many YouTube channels of guys doing stuff, and then cross-leaking, talking with other individuals who know stuff, doing hangouts, all that. Like they're using all of this stuff in a productive manner, man. This stuff is productive for them. It produces something. Like if we're not using this to produce shit, what are we're wasting time. It's a waste of time if it's not producing anything.
I would say right now, based on the automation topic in the future, in the coming future, I wouldn't purchase new vehicles, or you really shouldn't purchase a brand new vehicle now. But but still, I wouldn't be purchasing vehicles since I know, hey, this thing is rolling out. They're going to push it. They're going to be pushing this thing, and hey, what's the purpose of purchasing a vehicle like the vehicle I got now? Just pay it off and be done with it. Don't look to purchase a brand new non-autonomous vehicle, because I know if I do, I'm going to be in a situation where, man, I got to pay this off, and this stuff is out. It may be, well, it's going to be expensive when it first come out, but it's going to be cheaper.
Well, let's analyze this. And Mike, I would like for you to please interject, man, when you feel the emphasis too, because this is gonna go right up your alley, man. All right, I'm gonna challenge that position, Lino. I'm gonna challenge that position. You say not beneficial to buy a car. Well, let's see. One of the things that you'll be able to do with autonomous vehicles, let's just say you own a car and it has level 5 autonomous capability. What you could do is take your car and you'll sign on to Uber, and then you're going to log your car in, and your car is going to just drive off, and your car is going to go make money for you.
No. I was saying not to buy a non-autonomous car.
Oh, a non? Well, you're not going to really have a choice in that matter. I mean, right about now, the way cars are, they're really pushing leases. The only time it makes sense to actually like buy a car is again, if you're gonna buy like a track car, you're gonna go race it like a Porsche or some shit like that. A sports car, something that's collector, that'll increase in value. That purchase makes sense to me. Or and
they're actually
purpose.
They're actually moving away from leasing to car sharing now. So you're starting to see Audi come out with Audi Silver. Cadillac has their own car sharing service.
And I think BMW is talking about rolling there. I'm sorry, not B. Wait, is it BMW or Mercedes Benz? I'm trying to remember which one.
Yeah, just about all of them have their own car sharing service. And there's one app on your phone that you can download called Clutch that does car sharing for the most part, and you can get whatever vehicle you want for like $3,000 or $4,000 a year.
Wait, so okay. You're saying all these companies are rolling out car sharing. How? Explain me how would this work?
The same way.
No, I'm talking about how to go about doing it.
The same way a rental company would rent out vehicles, you would basically, they're taking the zip car model for themselves.
Okay.
If you know what a zip car is. So basically with a zip car, you can walk up to a zip car at any location. As long as you have a zip car account, you enter the information, that the criteria for your credentials, and the car unlocks and you get to drive it for a certain amount of hours, and you have to bring it back after a certain amount of time, or you get billed for it even further, right? So delinquency bill. They're looking at the same thing, because the banks are not loaning out any more money for these, new vehicles, because repo rates are happening within 30 to 45 days of purchase of a vehicle.
Doesn't make any sense.
Right. And leasing is much cheaper up front, but now the lease terms have expanded too. So leasing used to be 36 months. Now you're talking
48?
72. Now it's 72 months on a lease.
So basically what they're trying to do is like, damn, that's worse than a damn than just purchasing the car. That's worse.
Right.
72 months. Jeez. You're still capped on your mileage.
Right. You're capped on your mileage to like whatever the cap is, right? But at the same time, you're locked in.
Goodness gracious. This was 6 years?
Just about.
Then you don't even own a car after that.
Well, most people don't really keep their cars all that long anyways, because they're getting repoed after 30 or 45 days, right? In this economy, I'm speaking reference to. So then you have platforms like Arcade that comes out, and you're like, how do we tie this all into, this whole ride sharing, car sharing thing? I wouldn't be surprised if the state of Illinois starts selling off pieces or of their transportation system to private institutions.
Whoa. Let me stop you right there. Because they were doing that when I was there.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, Daily.
Doing that when I was there. Yeah. Daily. They privatized the shit out of Chicago, man.
Yeah, the parking meters. They he sold it to a company for about what, $2 million?
That, and then the damn traffic. Remember? Because there was a damn suit. There was a class action suit against the company that was operating the traffic cameras.
Oh, that's still going on.
Is it still going on?
Yeah, because what happens is even though they're supposed to be by parks and schools, some are positioned in weird places, and they're supposed to have painted on the ground, hey, it's a parking thing coming up, no, traffic light coming up. So slow down. But when you do construction, they don't repaint it again. It's worn out. And when you slow down, somebody else is speeding up or still going fast, and you get ticketed.
Right.
So they're not efficient at all.
Bro, look. I was in Chicago for 3 years. I was in utter amazement, bro. How y'all do it? I was just like, dude, this is so much BS right about now, dude.
Yeah.
So much BS. I mean that shit made the case for automation, in my view.
But a lot of times people don't travel and they think it's normal. Like some things you would think is normal.
Bro, come to California and see how normal that shit is.
Yeah, it still goes on, man. Like if you get the first ticket is $50, after that it's $100 each.
Now, look, so, dude, I hate putting ideas like this. I hate putting my ideas like this out on Hangouts.
Well, you email it, man.
No. Well, I mean, it's for the discussion. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, okay. So, let's say you can privatize. You could privatize sort of like infrastructure, much like how Chicago did with the cameras, for example, right? So could you say like in like say black neighborhoods, right? So those local city councils can contract with say virtual companies, right? Black-owned virtual companies that it might be blockchain backed, right? And they provide like surveillance and municipal infrastructure, monitoring of municipal infrastructure and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just saying, like these are infrastructural firms that deal largely in in the communities that the owners of the companies reflect. This is for me. This is why I see looking at blockchain and all these types of things that we're talking about. I say no. Let's look at it from an industrial standpoint. Like why? Why not be the security firms or the tech firms that address infrastructural issues in areas that largely are populated by people that look like us? Like the actual change, right? That you largely hear about, people saying that needs to be done. It's going to happen. I see. I see. Brother Damiante's dropped in.
Oh, okay.
It's largely gonna happen through business, through companies. Mike, what's your input? What's your input on that?
I absolutely agree with you. And a lot of the affirmative action and things of that nature, policies that were written, really had the incorporation of black businesses with federal government in mind. And why this had not taken place is something I don't understand.
Well, we just spoke to that with regards to how how affirmative action actually ended up in the hands of white women as opposed to black men. So he's actually spoke to that quite a bit, and I can, being a child born in the late 70s and a child of the 80s, I can totally attest to that. But with all that being said, again, this is a new paradigm, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a new paradigm. We really look. The choices are is whether to invoke that shit that's happened in the past in the first place. It really truly is at this point.
Mm-hmm.
From a business standpoint, and actually, if we could, like, after we wrap up on this hangout, I'd like to have like a private discussion. I sent an email around,
okay.
And have a quick private discussion. That would be great. But fact of the matter is that all the tools are there for us to do this shit, and that's really just what it all boils down to. And Mike just even agreed himself, like, well, the best way to do it is to have companies that can facilitate it. Like I don't think just community organizing, dude. Like, look, what is community organizing? Come on, like it's 2018, dude. Going on 2019. Things are far more advanced than getting together. Look, you have discussions to formulate whatever your initial game plan is, and you make determinations on, okay, well, what course of action is everyone going to take? However, those courses of action can largely leverage technology to streamline things and to make things happen quickly. That's the whole point of all this stuff right here. Look, the development of this stuff is happening at a rapid rate. The time that we're at is akin to the early 90s as it relates to the internet, but you best damn well believe that the shit is going to evolve at a rapid pace. You can quickly be left behind.
I do believe that because it seems like it's happening at a rapid pace right now with all this.
We just reviewed how many. We just reviewed how many. I mean, look, cannabis cryptocurrencies. We're not talking about just cryptos. We're talking about cannabis cryptos. Like seriously, I don't know how much louder you can sound an alarm, right? To kind of signal to people, hey, you know what? You don't necessarily have to be preoccupied with bullshit because there's opportunity right about now. I don't really know how to how to convey this further. I mean, look, I'll tell you like this. For me, I have there's so many things that I have readily like at my fingertips, and really all it just sort of takes is it just takes a method or a way of moving it into circulation. I'm only one individual, but trust and believe, you got 15-year-olds who are partnering up. So, by golly.
How you doing, Mr. Damiette? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How y'all doing?
Good evening, sir.
All right, all right. What do you think of tonight's topics and conversation?
Oh, well, when I left, you guys were talking about the how they was changing the game where you could do automated parking enforcement, right? And I was just saying that's like that would put a lot of people out of work, but at the same time, I mean, it would make the whole process easier. You just like find out, like you said, the drone flies by and you find how long they've been parking there, snapshot of the picture, their license, and just send out a bill or whatever.
Yeah.
And they probably need that here in Atlanta because I know because we got issues here in Atlanta. Probably every big city has, but in Atlanta, like sometimes, just illegally parked cars are just being spots they're not supposed to be in quite often. And I feel like somehow that would help with you got events going on.
Oh,
and
okay.
You got a lot of people parking spot companies, whatever. Sometimes you got issues where people are posing as these parking companies and taking people's money and putting food on their car, and they was never legit.
Parking that shit illegally, yeah.
Yeah, so you just
that happens in LA all the time, man, all the time.
Yeah, so then people are just out of $65, $75. So if you could use automated parking technology to facilitate parking during events, that would be a good idea, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so far it's a good conversation. So I just got to work, so I'm listening.
Okay. We have another guest, Lowell Kaz. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, fam. How you doing?
We
Hey, Complex, how you doing?
Good, bro. How are you, man?
Doing pretty good. Hey, Mike, how you doing?
What's up, brother?
Yeah. Hey, I apologize. I'm late.
No problem. No problem.
Apologize.
Now we got about 45 minutes left.
All right. Cool. We're talking about automation. Are we just talking about just vehicle automation or
anything that has to do with automation?
Well, I mean, we're talking automation. It's kind of going in and out of the various applications of it. We talked about vehicles. We're talking about software. So
artificial intelligence.
Yeah. Basically, whatever applies to the general subject of automation. Now I would say that a large crux of the conversation largely has pertained to not only application but development of it, right? The deployment, actually being involved with deployment, right? Versus being end user or being being averse to the technology. What we're trying to do is try to discuss more of a pro approach or having a pro mindset about these things. Okay. Now you and I, man, we had a lengthy discussion, man, and it really it's centered on this, dude. What's your take on this stuff?
Automation and AI, that's already here. I think personally, if I had to just give my own opinion on this thing, is that us as a group, let's say if this group was to design something, we just have to develop our own concept to it. Now, like I said before, in like previous time, I think the best way to go is to use something open source, and then eventually close it into, make your own version of it, your own private version of something that's open source. Personally, the things I'm more interested in is more like the home automation, those type of things, not just the aspects of air conditioning, power controls, and stuff like that, but kind of like the what was it? More like the concept of where you walk, power management, home power management. Like the concepts of where you walk into one room, the lights go on in one room, then they turn off like a few seconds after you leave. Mood temperature. I mean, mood temperature, mood. Temperatures.
Yeah.
Based on your
Automatic
moods.
climate control.
Those type of things. Those type of things I like to see. Like I said before, the trick is basically, I would say, if anybody's here is looking to develop something, you have to first create your own platform for it. First, you got to find, like I said, find something that's open source, find something that's readily usable, work out a rough, I will just keep it simple, just work out like a rough draft, a simple concept of it before you invest, work out a simple concept first, and then work it out to where you could, where you can, something that you can expand upon. Now, when it comes down to like the automated parking concept, I think I had this with Mike before, but Mike, it kept bumping my head because I'm like, okay, I understand that it has to be some type of, like, let's say if you were the vehicle, right?
Okay.
How do you know what parking space to go to? You get what I'm saying?
Wait. How do you know what parking space to go to?
Yeah,
The
but
data
hold on.
has to be transmitted to the car.
Yeah, but
Geotagging.
my point is, imagine if you all can just entertain this for a moment. Imagine you were the car itself. How do you know to go from point A to point B without bumping into anything, without causing any accidents, and parking in your location, parking in whatever range, whatever location that you're supposed to park in? How would you do that? I mean, we could say LiDAR, we could say systems, we could talk about what type of systems, that concept systems that are working, but what type of like mapping system would you really use? Would you use like a what would the walls? It's kind of like what would the walls look like? What would the parking spaces?
Well, no, okay.
You kind of get what I'm saying?
Yeah. But the thing is this. So NVIDIA addressed that with that chip that they debuted at CES this year, back in January.
What's the model of the chip so I can look it up?
I gotta remember. You know what? I'll look up the keynote, dude. Matter of fact,
it's all you gotta CES.
Yeah, it's the CES keynote. This was like their crown jewel. Actually, it was a chip that addressed exactly what you were talking about. Because basically, what it did was it actually maps. It does like this 3D overlay mapping of what it does is it uses the camera to create a virtual reality map, so that then the artificial intelligence can compute what you were just talking about. And they actually had a demo. They actually show how it works.
Okay. I'm just pulling up on
CES 2018 NVIDIA keynote. I'm trying to remember the dude's name. I mean, not only that, but Intel. Okay, so Intel they have something similar, but they're using it for the personal drone. The personal drone flight platform. In development with the FAA, right? So this is a software that is going to manage the airspace between a certain altitude range for that's zoned for personal drone use. Uber is going to be launching this shit in 2020 in LA, dude.
I'm talking like we talking about like an automated drone. You talking about like flying drones?
Yeah.
Automated drones.
Yeah,
Uber?
the EHong 184. That's the
wait. Automated flying drones.
Yeah, dude. Uber's going to start using them in LA in 2020. They already signed it. It's signed.
Wait, like air travel, those little aircraft things?
Yes, the EHong 180, the EHong 184 personal drone. Look that up. They're going to be deploying those.
Well, I do know that there was that there is a reserved airspace for flying drones. There is a reserved airspace. I don't know how many, with the height of, with the, with
500 feet.
500 feet. Okay. But I do know there is a, of course we already know that part. But no, my thing was, like I said, I'm glad you answered that part, that they're actually just using they're basically using like a stereotype, I forgot what it's called. Basically what they're doing, they're just rendering, they're doing 3D dimension, they're doing renderings.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. They literally give a demo of it. They literally do a demo of it.
Now, I got this question before I go to see. I just want to make sure. So is the car doing the mapping itself, or is it already being given pre-processed maps, or is it sharing maps?
It's a combination of the two. So
okay.
You already have a mapping system in place through Bing, through other TomTom, Nokia Maps that now has turned into Apple Maps and stuff like that. There's mapping systems already in place. So geospatial systems have already done the work, the heavy lifting of the work. The problem is that in order for a car to park itself, there has to be some kind of 3D modeling in effect. And there has to be some kind of vehicle-to-vehicle communication. And that's where V2V comes in. Now, if a car leaves this space, then that information is now transmitted to a civil service that says, for all other cars in the vicinity, this space is available.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I get it. Okay.
Now imagine when let's take Dubai as a working model. Okay, let's take Dubai as a working model, because Dubai, what they're trying to do is basically become the first city to just be completely powered by blockchain. Okay, that's essentially what they're trying to do. If you do that, then just imagine how seamless it all works. When you think about the nature and how blockchain technology works, and if you're patching in all of these different applications, okay, so that means that one movement updates various services simultaneously every time the nodes update. That's right. So when we're talking about these delays and latency issues and all this type of stuff, when you factor all these things in with a global rollout of 5G, you're on some next level shit.
The reason why you have IPv6 is to address the address problem that IoT is going to bring in place. So your vehicles, your drones, and things like that. They figured this out almost 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Oh, the new devices coming up.
Right, and then you factor in 5G. 5G is supposed to address the connectivity issue. And the next iteration beyond 5G is going to remove Wi-Fi altogether. Everything will just be connected.
Mm-hmm.
Changing the game.
Yes.
Now let me ask this question: is anybody ever concerned about the effects this stuff has on the environment?
Yeah, that was the issue with the 5G. Everybody was wondering, like, what's the effects of all this new connectivity on health?
On who? On health?
On human health? On human health?
Yeah, I was watching a couple of videos about that. They was wondering, people are asking questions on the health effects of all this new 5G technology on the effect on humans health wise. And basically, I guess you could say nobody really knows because it's new. So.
Well, the thing is, truth be told, they know anything with microwaves is dangerous. Is dangerous for human beings. That's known.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, what they do. The truth is that it's intentionally suppressed. It's intentionally suppressed.
Yeah, by companies. Yeah.
But see, the thing is, one thing I do like about the multi-bands is that I think one thing that would be nice if you kind of had like high signal strength and then low signal strength. And well, not that way, but like, for example, let's say you jump from, you jump from network to network, or you jump from tower to tower. Imagine if it was more efficient. Like, for example, in your neighborhoods, you might there's like a general Wi-Fi connection equivalent
for the whole area.
Yeah, for your service provider, where it just where it's just a low power that it works in the area. You know, in that one confined area, but then there's like the heights for the city. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was gonna say
that was the whole
for outdoor. Go ahead.
That's the whole purpose of IoT, right? So these light bulbs have Wi-Fi capabilities in them. However, the security aspect leaves them open. So if you're a municipality, and this has been talked about a lot in the United States, how to leverage last mile and enclosed spaces, from cellular communications. You have these Wi-Fi light bulbs that will be put into street lamps that are staggered in formations across your street, across the neighborhoods, and basically opens up a more mesh network that allows you to have constant connectivity.
I was going to say also look into neural networks. ColdFusion TV actually did a video on this maybe like last week, maybe a week or two ago. I think it was like last week. Neural networks.
You said ColdFusion TV?
Yeah, ColdFusion TV. It's his brother out of Australia that does it.
I'll put his link in the description.
But to give any guys here who wants to do anything on their own or just do projects, I always preach Arduino for a reason, because it's like the most inexpensive entry-level product that you can purchase. But they also have an IoT kit as well that you can buy, or you can design your own. You can get them for as low as like $40 for an IoT kit with Arduino, which you can with your Wi-Fi hookup. It has a shield for its for internet. It's internet shield. You could program it for your phones. You can use it for whatever. But the only cool thing I try to explain to people, understand this here, guys, is that even though Arduino may not seem like a practical use type tool for some people, it's like I said, it's good for teaching, but understand that Arduino really is just software. Everything else you see is just the hardware that they show you. You get what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
So, but I would tell anybody, go ahead, Mike.
What is Arduino? What is that? Arduino. Yeah, what Arduino is, okay, Arduino is really a software. What it is that it's a high level programming language for microcontrollers, and one of the most popular one that it uses is Atmel, which is the Atmel chips. And I do know that Atmel purchased Microchip, the company Microchip purchased Atmel. So I'm pretty sure that, I'm not really sure, but the bottom line is the model numbers I'm talking about are all the Atmel products. All right, you can just type in Atmel. I'm talking about a single particular chip. I wish I could put it on the screen for now so you can see what I'm talking about. But what the Arduino kit does is like, what it allows you to do is, like, for example, you can use just a single chip itself for for experimentations, for prototyping. But from that point, once you have it down, what you can do is you can always develop the schematics based off the tools that you've already used. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it's called Atmel.
Okay, Atmel is the chip type. It's the chipset. The company, like I said, Atmel is the chipset. All right. Arduino, just all you have to do is type in Arduino. You'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, because I'm looking at. I was going to do the screen share to
Arduino.
Okay,
yeah.
Let me do this now.
Oh, do you have it already up? Oh, I have it up.
Okay, there you go.
Yo, Noah, what's up?
How's it going, guys?
What's up?
What's going on?
Real good, yeah. So here's the picture of Arduino. I actually have one at my house. I haven't done any projects with it yet, but I do have it.
Oh, okay. Well, no, the thing is, for example, all I'm saying is that the Arduino itself is just nothing more than a programming library. It's just software. That's all it is. But what it is just designed for whatever chipsets. It's designed for a particular chipsets. There's multiple. Actually, their library is very, very large at this point. It's highly extensive. I mean, it doesn't just go to just the Oh, excuse me. Let me back up.
It's open source. Anyone can add to it.
Exactly. All Arduino. I'm sorry, guys. I'm tripping tonight. I apologize. Arduino is a programming language. That's all it is.
And then you can apply it to something like. I was just going to say that you can apply it to something like Raspberry Pi as well.
Yes, you can apply it to Raspberry Pi as well. And what our Raspberry Pi is just a small onboard, all onboard PC. That's all it is.
Yeah, very small.
So can I ask you this, Lordcast? When you're buying your Arduino, originally when I bought my first couple, I just bought from the Arduino Uno. I forget the nonprofit based out of Italy. I forget what their.
Okay, so you bought the Uno. So you bought a 328 chip. The microcontroller is called a 328.
Yeah. So, but I have heard that there's basically people have just copied it, the schematics of it, since it's open source, and just mass manufactured it for a lesser cost. But I haven't really seen it.
Well, you could go on eBay. How much, for example, I'm assuming you bought the original blue.
Yeah, it was like $40.
Okay. Now I will make you laugh. That same one you pay $40 for, you can go online, order from China for like $2 a piece.
Wow.
I'm not joking. $2 or $3 a piece.
Yeah, we were talking about that a couple of nights ago, man. That's hilarious.
Well, when I was first buying it, I just kind of bought it just to kind of support their nonprofit while they're, building out their manufacturing or whatever. So I was fine with it, but I heard they got cheaper, but I didn't know they got that cheap.
Yeah. They
Well,
got cheaper.
To make it really interesting to you is that for example, I try to get guys to understand is that every chip manufacturer, right? They have prototyping boards for every chip that you want to try out. Let's say like if you find for example, they're just microcontrollers. Let's say like for an application, right? For like you want to do automation. Let's say you want to be able to control like maybe you want to control some motors, you want to control lights. You get what I'm saying? What you would do is you would have to find the type of chip that's suitable for your application. And that's usually what you find, like, you got to find, you should be familiar with a handful of companies that chip manufacturers, like I said, again, Microchip. There's hundreds of them out there, man. I can't think of no other ones. But Microchip and Atmel are the only two I've ever used. But from that point, what you can do is if you needed to say, for example, you wanted to try the chip out, like you want to test it to see if it's pliable to what you're using or use it for a prototype, you could always go to their site and you could actually just buy the same concept that the Arduino's actually just made a lot cheaper. You kind of get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right.
Could you explain that a little bit?
All right. What you see the Arduino did?
Yeah.
With the prototyping boards. A lot of the chip manufacturers already have their own prototyping boards, but the prototyping boards are really, really expensive.
Oh, so is the Arduino kind of like
Arduino really dropped the price from what the manufacturers would normally, what a chip manufacturer would charge you for a prototyping board.
Right.
Oh.
So I got a question.
Go ahead.
Is this what's being used in the Philips Hue lights, where they can be used through the Google Home? You could change the color lighting in your home and the dimness of the lights with the Philips Hue lights.
Probably yes.
No, it's not.
It's not.
Why you say that? Why you say that?
Why do I say what?
Why you say it's not the one
That it's not?
Because I have them.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever opened it up and see what the chip is on them?
Inside the light or inside the controller?
Inside the controller of the light. There's a microcontroller. That's what I'm referring to. When I'm talking about Arduino, I'm really talking about the type of microcontroller it's using.
Oh, I haven't opened it up.
Okay.
But what
You're talking about the chip on the
in the light, I guess.
Yeah.
right, the chip in the light is to my knowledge is different from that.
Different from what Arduino?
From the platform that Anti-Gravity has posted in his avatar right now.
those Arduino.
What did you say? I couldn't hear you.
Well,
He was referencing the Arduino that Noah posted. He was saying that chip that's in the light is not the one that's on that board.
I can't even see what you all posted.
Well, Noah
Okay, I see it now. Yeah, I see it. Okay, this right here, anti-gravity, this right here, if you look at it says ATM Mega or something like that. It says 328P. And the PU stands for Power Ultra something. That's what it's supposed to stand for. These right here, this particular,
Where are you reading right now?
I'm looking right at what you're showing on the screen right now.
Could you repeat what you just said? ATM?
No, see the chip right here that you just pointed at. I wish I could point at it and show you.
Yeah.
The large chip. That's the type of chip that I'm talking about. Now, this right here is the 28, like the 28 pin version.
You can use this. You can use this technology to make like I'm sitting at work right now and it's kind of hot in here, so you can make a fan that can sense the temperature of the room and adjust according to spin a little bit faster to change the degree of the room, right?
Yes, you can use it for that. You can use it for changing for any application you can think of.
And they have like add-ons. I'm not quite sure what their names is.
The shields. They have shields.
Oh yeah, you can get motion sensors. You can get power on and off switches, or you can add an Ethernet a port to it. There's a lot of stuff you can do.
Wow.
Actually,
yeah,
port is already
basically the shields are just modules.
Yeah.
Now you can create your own if you want to. If you got any even a little bit of technical experience, you can just create your own.
Like even like a HDMI, like an HDMI port also.
No, these
Something
right
like
here don't
that.
have no. These don't have
They,
HDMI.
they
These are
wouldn't
just
support it.
controllers. No, these are
Controllers,
just.
okay.
This is just the controller, meaning that, in other words, you could take this and plug it up to, for example, your PC, and use it as like a use it like as a data acquisition board or something like that. You get what I'm saying?
Okay, I got you.
You know, the Raspberry
Like,
Pi.
like,
The Raspberry
like,
Pi has HDMI.
yes.
Gotcha.
These are not computers. These are just controllers. That's all
Right.
they are.
Wait. So, okay, well, I guess it really wouldn't make any sense, but I guess theoretically you could even use something like this, what, for mining?
No, you can't use this for mining.
You couldn't even use that for mining, right? No. Okay.
No, those are just controllers. Now you could probably use a Raspberry Pi for mining. You could probably use those for mining.
Okay. Gotcha.
Because those are computers.
Gotcha. Okay.
Very slow, but it would work.
That's all I'm saying. Yeah. You would want to.
You probably need a few hundred of those.
I got a question for Lowcast.
Go ahead.
Just because we're short on time. What's been going on in your neck of the woods in terms of 3D printing and production?
These days, I haven't done anything in the last week now. But I just really haven't done anything. I haven't printed up anything. Is there something particular that you need or something?
Well, I'm still trying to source those data sheets, man. Those CAD
Which
files.
ones?
That's for the Grom bikes, man. It's impossible. It's impossible. I can't find them.
Here's a trick. Have you ever found, if you could find like another company with one similar to it?
Mm-hmm.
That could also work too.
I was actually searching for a few, man. I'll keep digging, but yeah, that's a bitch.
What were you about to say, Mike?
No, I was going to bring up, I think, the final topic after Lowcast and Complex was finished.
No, we're good. I was just following up on what you were saying because we actually had a discussion. I was actually looking up some stuff for him to possibly, get a project in development, but I'm still trying to look for what he needs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the final piece I wanted to just tie into this was in Minnesota. I think I sent the email out last night. There's a guy who's working on a prototype pedal electric reverse trike in Minnesota. I don't know if Anti-Gravity saw it or Complex Design.
Yeah, I actually sent a response. It's something I would rather we kind of chat about offline or off the hangout. But I actually sent you a response to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. I saw that. Now I'll say this. When we were just earlier, we were talking about, electric vehicles and all that. You're going to start to see an abandonment of traditional vehicles, right? So when that last gas-powered vehicle that you got has pretty much run its course, people are going to start to look to vehicles like Mike posted, other types of like hybrid electric vehicles and stuff like that as alternative forms of transportation.
Mike, did you check out the time card?
The what?
Did you check out the time card?
No.
Well, yeah. Well, basically, the time card is like a utility vehicle, and it comes in. You can either get it in gas, diesel, or electric. And it's like a multi-purpose vehicle that can be designated for like commercial use, military use, mining, fire and rescue, different. It's got a whole bunch of different applications. But
this is American?
I'm not sure. I want to say yeah, but I'm not sure. But it's called Time.
What's it called?
Time Card. TOMCAR.
Tom Car. Wait. Is that is it like an Indian company? It looks like a Jeep.
Yeah, it kind of does. Kind of.
Tom Car?
Yeah.
Tom Car. I want to say I heard of that.
Yeah, but they got it. It also comes as an electric vehicle too. So that just ties on what you was just saying about people gonna start turning to electric hybrid vehicles pretty soon.
Pretty soon.
Because me and you and Complex were talking about that. Like, man, cars cost now they just status symbol.
Hey, but Mike, you know
I
what?
mean, look.
This is what I would. I'm sorry, guys. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Okay, let's go ahead. Hello.
No, but these are like the type of concept ideas that I would like to like. I would mind trying to collaborate with someone on things like this, because something like this here, you don't. I mean, even though it's kind of I'm looking at the pictures of them, but does anybody else have those pictures up by any chance? I'll share them on my screen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if you can screen share it. I might have some input on this. I'll go ahead and follow where you take this, Lo.
But like, can you see the pictures?
Yeah.
Okay.
But these things?
Yeah, these are what you're talking about, right? These are the Tom cards?
The Tom card.
Dude, wait. You know, do you realize we could get those from China? Full electric. You can get them however you want them.
Really? Yeah.
Really?
I think Ulysses sells these on his.
Don't get me started, because I was gonna say what I do is I carry vehicles they're all produced in the same factories in China. All the shit I get comes from China. Literally, I get all my stuff on pallets, dude. Now, those buggies right there, so they design them, and then what they do is they'll roll the chassis off, and they'll make like 10,000. They'll make 10,000, 20,000 of them, right? And they'll take like 10,000 of them, and they'll go send them somewhere else. And then what they'll do is they'll put gas motors in them, right? Yeah. And when those gas motors are going to all be, they're going to be like EEC. I think that's EAC or EEC. I'm trying to remember what it is. So that might be cleared for like European sales in Europe, right? And then they'll have some that are going to be CARB certified, CARB, which means that they can be registered here in the state of California. And if they can be registered here, that means they can be registered anywhere else in the United States, in the continental United States.
Well, yeah, exactly. But what I'm saying is, like, for example, if you could, like, for example, you take a design, something like this. This is about the only halfway idea I can see. But make it more of where it's, you know, where I guess it has some style to it.
Yeah.
It has some characteristics that, you know, Americans, you know, we're spoiled people. You know, you might put some type of cooling system in it, you know, cabin type cooling system, you know, kind of close it in. Maybe instead of having 2 seats, make 3-seater, you know, something like that. Or, you know, where you can use that for like just basic commutes to work or use to the grocery store, you know, for like short distance travel.
Right.
Yeah. Now, I was going to say, now there's a couple of ways you could take that. Now, if you're going to try to appeal to the market of individuals who are on the lookout for something like a Tom car, then just know that that's going to be an extremely niche market. Because these things can't be driven on the road. These things can't be driven on the road legally everywhere, right? So these are some of the things that you would have to keep in mind. So, you know, it's all about specialization at that point. And, you know, that's really where you would actually get access to a Tom car, pull whatever kind of stuff. And then you just said we were talking about load, like you need to know where all of the bolt patterns go, right? So when you take a body piece and you put it onto the chassis and you're gonna go and screw it in, like all the brackets line up. They line up with all the bolt points. So you would need just that. You need like a data sheet or a CAD file. Now,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say one easy way to get that is to locate a factory in China that has it.
Exactly. I was gonna say is that I'm pretty sure there's not too many things that need to be done to make what you call street legal. Street legal. I'm pretty sure it might have something to do probably with lights, some type of brake systems. You know, I'm pretty sure this is more safer than what they call those little things, those little scooters. You know.
Oh no! In California, that's not legal. That
it has 4 wheels. That's what makes it illegal.
I was gonna say if it have 3, it's legal.
Right.
Wait, really? Because it has 4 wheels is illegal?
Because it's classified as a Class D vehicle.
If if it has 3 vehicles,
Oh, okay. All right.
okay. In California, if you have a gas vehicle and the engine displacement is under 50 cc, it's classified as a bike. What we are drunk scooters. So like people who have like DUIs and shit and their licenses are suspended, what they usually go is they'll buy 50 cc scooters because you can go and register those, get them insured and all that. You can drive around without a license.
So let me ask this question. Well, how much work do you think how much effort do you think it would take to create something to make something like this here? I don't know all the jargon, but let's just call it code compliant. That's compliant with state law. I mean, would we just have the motor? I was thinking something like an electric vehicle versus a gas vehicle.
Wait, now you're talking about creating something like this and making it road legal?
Where it's just road legal for like short commutes. You know, you don't have to use it for like long distance commutes.
These things are road legal in every place but here. It's everywhere but here. But if you get a vehicle that's legal everywhere.
I got you. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Right.
Oh, I see. In other words,
vehicles that I import, yeah, they have to be CARB, dude. They have to be CARB certified. If they're CARB certified, I can sell them. If I get one of these and I can't sorry, shit. But yeah, if I get one of these, man, you know, if like, look, it's useless here, but everywhere else, I guess it's cool.
No, I get it. In other words, California basically sets the standards for the country.
Yeah, everybody else goes by EPA standards. California Air Resource Board.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense then.
Yep.
Okay.
Just to answer your question, though,
my thing is, go ahead.
If like certified, if you get something, right, then yeah, by all means. But that's only going to be if it has 3 wheels.
So will I have to find a 3-wheel model? I said, I guess we have to find a 3-wheel model and work for that one.
You ever seen those slingshots? Ever seen those slingshots?
Let me look.
They have like a 2-liter turbocharged Ecotec GM Ecotec motor. Right, looks like front looks like a car, and then it has 1 wheel in the back. It's belt driven, CVT transmission.
Wait, are those the ones like we call the spiders, similar to the spider?
Spider's a motorcycle.
Yeah,
but it's basically like almost like the same design, except for it has seats.
So what they call that is the reverse trike.
Oh, reverse trike.
Yeah, reverse trike. Right. Yeah. Okay. And then it's even that the electric bike company. So they're coming out. They crowdsourced their new crowdsourced it and got the prototype done.
You're breaking up bad.
Around 3 million. Okay. You guys hear me now? Okay. Yeah. Sondors did the same thing. They have a 3-wheeled electric car that they brought to the market. That were all the crash test regulations like a regular car because it's registered as a bike.
Oh, okay. I got you.
So if you want electric vehicles, the first thing you're going to want to think is like an enclosed line. That way. And bring an electric vehicle to market. Yeah, I'm sorry. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. My thing is that if
I'm sorry.
I don't know. I don't want to say we or us, but if a group of us could come up with a concept, you know, a concept that's viable for the future, you know, I would be interested in working on something like that.
Well, you know, Locas, you missed the hangout earlier, but we were referring to the financial sector of the car market, right? So car companies is not really financing cars out anymore because banks aren't giving out loans. So what's happening is they're starting to go to these long-term leases, 48, 60, 72-month leases on brand new cars. And we know that the repossession rate on these vehicles are like 30 to 45 days.
Really?
I same thing I said.
So
That's the average.
That's in the last 5 years. That's 30 to 45 days turnaround. So people are making their payments initially. You're supposed to pay your first and last when you do finance a vehicle, but I guess people fall behind even before they even drive off the lot.
Well, you keep in mind, dude,
after they got that tax return.
people buy cars that they can't afford.
Basically.
And one thing I will say this here is something, an easy concept of understanding finances. Never buy a car that's no more at max half of 1 year's salary.
Or if you're young like me, don't buy a car that's more than $5,000.
Smart move. Smart move.
Or like get you well, depending on where you live, get you like something like a scooter or a small bike or something like that to get you around the city, and then when you do, just Uber it.
Man, you can get scooters, man, for like $1,500 or less than that, man, and that's
y'all don't want to know how you don't want to know how much I get them from China, dude. Like literally, you don't want to know.
And you know what? I have to agree with this one thing. Everybody, Ubering it. To be real with you, from my standpoint, I don't want to talk bad about Uber, but Uber's kind of nasty. I mean, if you've ever been an Uber driver, I've done that once. I tried it for a week. Believe me, I wanted to kill somebody. I mean, dude, people are freaking weird. You want somebody
puking in the back? What's going on?
Huh?
Are they puking in the back when they're drunk?
No, just weird people, dude. I don't want to say much, but dude, there's some weird people. If you're an Uber driver, believe me, you got some weird stories to tell, dude. Trust me. There's no way in hell you can't have one weird story to tell somebody.
There's a YouTube channel of a Uber driver that record. Well, he don't record them without their consent, but he asks for their consent, and if they say yeah, and he record the drive, not them. He don't put them on camera, but he records like out the windshield, and you can hear people talking.
I believe you. Oh, this is what I was trying to say. Is that let's say if you can create a vehicle. If you can create a vehicle that can last somebody, something that you don't have to so quickly change, that you can kind of modify, update, but you don't really have to change all at one time. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that would probably be more viable for just the average day consumer. I mean, of course, it's nice. I like the big cars. I think the big cars is great. Like if you can afford a larger car, if you can afford like the Teslas and everything. Those are great, but if you're just a person that lives in an area, you do most of your commuting within something like a 10 to 20 mile range. I think stuff like that is better with the emission, to help reduce on energy costs when it comes down to like gas vehicles, gas transportation, fuel transportation.
Yeah, I was gonna say I had a project in the works, man. Like my first EV project that I developed. I was looking to get some contracts for it. Now, this was based on the OS vehicle platform, right? Now, they've since changed because I think GM acquired like a minority interest in them. So now it's called Open Motors. You can look them up, Open Motors. Now, I know the CEO of that company directly, and when I had actually shot him my business model to leverage his platform, and what I was trying to do, I was trying to get access to basically their supply warehouses in China, because I had this dealership distribution model set up, and I sent him over a plan, and I said, look, this is how it worked. And he was amazed. He was like, look, the fact of the matter is this: like, I'm not set up with my suppliers the way I need to be set up in order to help you out with that. But he saw viability in the model. Okay. So it followed much. It followed much.
Is this what you're talking about?
Let me see. Yep, that's it. Okay, what you see there, that's an exoskeleton. Okay, it's open source. This is what actually, Lo, this is what you and I were talking about. Okay, so that right there, those CAD files are open source. They're open source, and they're pretty much available for anyone to bootstrap. There's a 2-seat and a 4-seat model that can be developed. Okay, and they're free for anyone to use. And so what I was looking to do was to create a variant or a version of it where you had basically, you could go to a central location and buy all the individual components. So if you take the 3D CAD file and blow the shit up and load up, maybe I'll have to dig around on my computer and find and email it to you, or I'll have to get the latest updated CAD files and send those to you. But when you blow it up, you get each individual piece. And then what I wanted to do was basically manufacture each individual piece, build a prototype, and then I would be able to manufacture one-off pieces as people order them.
Yeah, on demand. That makes sense. That's what I'm talking about.
That was my whole fucking model for that shit right there. That was my whole model. And dude, I met with two. I'm not going to get critical, dude, for the sake of this hangout, but I met with 2 elder black men, right? And this was I was actually referred to them by somebody, and I had a discussion with them, and I pitched the model to them, and basically they told me, "Oh, go get a contract." So I was like, "All right," and that was pretty much the end of that. So I've been fishing for contracts ever since, man. I didn't really get a chance to like throw some money at it and try to do something with it. But Renault is they're already using it. Renault's using it. Uber's using it. They're going to be using it for their fleet of electric vehicles coming out. And I'm trying to think. There's a couple of other people that are using this platform too.
And they're using this open motors thing.
It's open. we like what you were just talking about, bro. Like real shit, dude. You and I didn't get a chance to really dig in deep on all this stuff, right? Look at that with Renault.
Okay.
But you and I, we didn't get a chance to dig into this. But look. Like this is something where a group of brothers like this, we could actually get our own EV business off the ground. And then it's your motors, batteries, controllers, all that kind of shit. Okay, we source that. We source that from people who are already doing it. We get the software for the cars from companies like Ubiquiti. Dude, I was talking to. This is how I know about like the Intel platform for the eHong 184. Companies like Ubiquiti. Right, all these other companies that are making proprietary platforms for EV companies. The software companies are going to be they're going to be like the engine manufacturers, right? They're going to be the equivalent. The software, right, that drives everything, that connects all of the functions of the car. Okay, that they are the new engine makers. They are software is what drives the EV. Is what's going to drive EV, dude. It's not like car makers, quote unquote. Right? Motors, batteries, controllers. There's other companies that make it, and they make very good ones. So companies don't necessarily have to make them themselves. The functionality of these vehicles, the user experience, right? The reliability of the AI software, all of that comes from who? The software developers.
Right.
That's how you put an electric car together. That's how you manufacture an electric car, dude. It's so goddamn simple. It's actually unbelievable. It's actually it's ridiculous actually. The car industry is not what people like. Transportation isn't what people think, especially if you're doing business with China. It's real easy to get in the game.
Oh, okay.
You gotta know what you're doing.
Well, you definitely. We'll definitely talk on the back end. I'll send everyone an email.
Well, I'm trying to like have a quick chat after this is over.
Okay, we can do it now.
I'm gonna say,
can you go off? Can you go offline and then we can talk?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Lionel, if you want to close it out first, and then we can.
Yeah. Well, because the hangout's supposed to be just for 2 hours.
Okay.
Any closing remarks before I stop the broadcast?
None.
No. All right.
I think everyone we want to wait till it goes off.
All right. Well, everyone tune in Wednesday for geopolitics. Talk to you later.